Hello students, welcome to the class. In this video, we'll be looking at the poem in Unit 3 of Semester 4, The Heaven of Freedom. In fact, song number 35 from Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was born in 1861 in Calcutta, and he has contributed immensely to giving modern India a place on the world literary scene. He was a poet, a dramatist, a short story writer, and even a novelist. He was also a philosopher and a nation builder. He was the first non European to win the Nobel Prize for Literature for his important work, Gitanjali. He always wanted to blend this Indian and Western philosophy through his poetry. During the time in which this particular poem, that is The Heaven of Freedom, was written, India was still under the control of British Empire. So it was written in somewhere around 1910s and 11. Now, the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear, it consists of only 11 lines, and this is one of the most famous poems of Rabindranath Tagore. This poem was originally written in Bengali, and this simplified English translation is just 11 lines without a rhyme scheme. It is an expression of the poet's reflective spirit and contains a simple prayer for his country, that is, the India of pre independence times. And the poem also has a universal message which makes it immortal. The original Bengali version had the title called Chitto Jata Boishunyo and was published in 1910. Now, the poem is written in the form of a prayer to Almighty God for a true freedom for his country. And Tagore also reveals his own concept of freedom throughout this poem, where the mind is without fear. Now, let's look at the summary. The poem is a contemplation of a state of mind, a place in time, and a way of living into which the poet wishes his country, India, would awaken in the future. The first 9 lines of the poem present a number of statements in which begin with the word where, and where. And these statements are his positive attributes which Tagore is hoping India will achieve in the future. And the poem resolves by finishing all of these statements in the final 2 lines, where Tagore is making a plea or a prayer to his father and for his country to wake up into that heaven of freedom. So, all these positive attributes, which Tagore begins with where, he ends the poem with the line, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. So, this is the summary of the whole poem in a short place. Now let's look at in the individual lines. The first 2 lines of the poem are, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free. Now one must be able to live without fear of the repercussions of their thoughts. Tagore seems to say that in a free India, everyone should be able to speak without fear of physical harm or any other sort of harm coming to them as they live their lives. And the second half of the first line, where the head is held high, he also adds on the importance that one should be able to be proud of their beliefs and be able to express them freely in an open society. The second line of the poem, that is where knowledge is free, he talks about that in future, in a perfect India, all knowledge must be free. There should not be any barriers keeping the middle or the lower classes from seeking out knowledge or new information and bettering their life. The next lines are like this, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Now, this is a sort of a statement describing the ideal world which Tagore thinks of about his country, and it refers to home and as well as society. Now, people are separated by narrow walls of thought and ideologies, and it is like it is broken into fragments. And the idea of walls can also be explained by that means it could be like including different classes of people who are divided in the society. It's a problem faced by Indian people for many decades. And in a free India, Tagore visions that these differences of class, creed, race, and religion should not be present in that free India. And not only India, he uses the word world, which also is an important aspect here. He goes on to mention that it's not just India, but the whole world has become fragmented into small groups by constructing these narrow domestic walls, and they do not interact or touch each other in any way. And the next lines are like, where words come out from the depth of truth, and where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Now, in Tagore's words, absolute truth is a necessity. And he says that the word should come out from the depth of truth. Maybe they are leaders or ordinary people, but truth should motivate us forward and not some deception. And where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Now, this presents an idea that if one works hard or works tirelessly, one will eventually reach perfection. And he wants Indians to be working hard for development in a free India, and hard work will always pay off. And probably Tagore also envisages a goal where every Indian would work hard towards achieving that perfection as some India which grows or develops in the future. And the next lines are very important. He mentions here that where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Now we have two metaphors here, clear stream and dead habit. Clear stream of reason and desert sand of dead habit. Now this is absolutely Tagore's, they're complex, but Tagore uses clear stream as a metaphor for reason. That means it flows easily and cleanly. It is good for everyone. This stream of reason in Tagore's world has not lost its way by venturing into habit or tradition or past thinkings. And to balance this metaphor, he says that he compares it to habit to dreary desert, where nothing fruitful can happen. So Tagore envisages a time when in free India, reason will become important, and people will think reasonably. Using reason, they will go forward, but rather not lose their way into some old tradition or dead habits. One must be willing to change, to try new things in his utopian concept of. And the last lines are like, where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country away. Now, he brings about all the prayers of the positive attitudes that he wanted, with all those statements which started with where, and he brings them all together in this last prayer. The last three lines of the poem make clear reference of Tagore's desire to blend the Western and Indian poetry together. Now, the mind of the people must be led forward by thee, and probably it could be referring to God. The last two lines conclude that all the partial sentences that make up the bulk of the program are concluded here. The mind must be led forward into ever widening thought and action. Now, for Tagore, it's not just philosophy but also practical implementation of philosophies that is more important. The mind must be allowed to expand without limits and act on the notions it believes to be the best. This world that he has crafted, he now refers to as the heaven of freedom. And where all these things happen, he concludes that that is going to be like a heaven of freedom. And he asks, my father, presumably God, to let his country awake into that heaven of. Now, this was the gist and summary, and some little notes on the poem, The Heaven of Freedom by Rabindranath Tagore. If you have any more queries or questions, please contact us on the details given. Keep watching the videos and also post your comments and share the videos with your friends. Thank you. Have a good day.